The United States is headed to the Gold Cup final. The United States is going to play Mexico. So those two items supersedes anything else. The means on how we got there, the team that we have, which we will discuss here on the Soccer OG. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Like and subscribe. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. I love the discourse. As you can see, I'll get in it with you, whether you are agreeing with me or disagreeing, or you have a comment or a question. I'm here to answer it as I continue to have my eyes focus on this. It's such a compelling story, and we'll get into all those details. So appreciate it. Look, that's what matters. Imagine in the quarterfinals, we don't beat Costa Rica in penalties, and we're stewing, wondering what's going on with this program. It's a bunch of margins, razor thin, but the USA stepped through. Then we had the semifinals, a game we were supposed to win. It got a little hairy there at the end. And now we get this game. So whatever happens against Mexico, it's a final. It's the last competitive game before the World Cup. Incredible to think we're that close. So all of this matters, especially for a team under a relatively new coach looking for some answers. And we have a lot of questions. We do. This is invaluable. And I can only imagine it will help the final product in 2026. And we haven't played Mexico, and we play Mexico all the time. We should have played them in the Nations League. We did not. Last time we played them in a competitive game was October of 2024 in Mexico, the beginning of the Pochettino era. It wasn't good for the U.S. They lost that, but the last competitive game, the USA beat Mexico in the Nations League of 2024. We're supposed to play Mexico at least twice a year. This might be our only meeting. So it almost didn't happen. So the limitations of this Gold Cup team, and it is pretty limited, you got to give them credit. They've gone undefeated and they've gone there. But we'll get into some of the details because it all goes into the big pot, right? The big World Cup pot. This was the lineup. No changes to the 11 that beat Costa Rica. I didn't expect any changes. I know some people are saying, hey, Agyemang, Arfsen. And we'll talk about those two players who are on the outside looking in for a 2026 World Cup spot. This is a group with Pochettino that he is trusting. So I don't think anyone was really surprised. If you were, then you're probably not paying enough attention. So it is Pochettino's team, and I think that's a big talking point about this. With regards to Mauricio Pochettino and the players he selects, we have to remember this is Mauricio Pochettino, and these guys have been training together. So while we see Max Arfsen or Patrick Agyemang or Luca Della Torre, and we're wondering while they're in there, we have to defer a little bit and say, all right, well, Pochettino, a guy who has coached the biggest clubs, he, rubs shoulders with the who's who of soccer. Whether his coaching credentials have matched the reputation, I don't know. But we've always wanted a coach like this, so we kind of have to concede that, right? We can sit here and argue about these players, but it's Pochettino. If he falls on his face at the World Cup, then we can discuss it. But if Patrick Agyemang is starting ahead of Damian Downs and Max Arfsen starting ahead of John Tolkin, Pochettino's seen something in training. And the fact that Agyemang doesn't get dislodged out of the lineup means either he has faith in him or Brian White and Damian Downs are just not up to snuff. I guess it's a good point to talk about Patrick Agyemang. I know, look, it's a hard watch. I mean, there was one play there where my head fell because I want to defend him, where Diego Luna's going through and there's a diagonal ball to be played, could have led to that all-important third goal, and it was behind him. And it's like, on the flip side, I've never seen, I shouldn't say never, but it's rare to see a player, especially a forward, constantly in on every play. It's quantity of plays, quantity of looks. He doesn't convert them, but he's always in on it. And I don't think he's going to make the 26-man roster, but it's an important conversation to have because Flo Balogun and Ricardo Pepi are injured. It would be naive to think both of them would be available for the World Cup. Hopefully one of them are. If they're both available, I don't think Agyemang starts. If one of them is, just based on what we've seen and all the work that they put into Pat Agyemang, I don't think he would be the guy left out. So we've got to get used to it. And let's support him a little bit. And look, I'm with you. I'm like, so there's that. Max Arfsen started this game, but he wasn't going to be playing, at least we didn't think, against a team that was going to attack. And maybe in the final, Pochettino gets a little bit more reserved, for lack of a better word. Maybe he brings in a more defensive group because Mexico's going to fly. They haven't looked fantastic. They've looked pretty good. They look better than the United States. I would pick Mexico to win this final, which is fine. I mean, I want to win the Gold Cup, but I'm just glad we're in the final. So you have those question marks going in there. And I'm like trying to think of all the players that would make the 26-man roster that are on this team. And I come up to a number like 14. And I think about all the players that could start or play important roles, and it's 3 or 4. And I was saying Matt Freese, because there's no real other options at goal. Malik Tillman, who I think is going to be in the middle of that in the 4-2-3-1. And then Tyler Adams, who, by the way, was taken out of the game, and there was an explanation because, or he was, I can't remember now, but he had some issues with some fitness, so that's something to keep an eye on. When you look at Diego Luna, and I don't know if he starts. He's definitely going to the World Cup now. But there might be a spot for him. I think in the attack, if Balogun's healthy, it would be Pulisic on the left, Tillman in the middle, Weah on the right. Is Weah going to beat out Luna? At this point, yes. But Luna continues to build momentum. And Pochettino likes him. And I always wonder, if he didn't break his nose in January, would this all be happening? He scored 2 amazing goals. Well, 1 amazing goal and 1 goal that was just an example of somebody completely locked in and wanting to score. 1 with his left foot, 1 with his right foot. And I love this story, and I'm sure many of you do too, because Diego Luna is the guy who would slip through the cracks and could have easily been discouraged. He was told no Olympic team. And even if he made the national team, he could be in a situation where a coach doesn't play him or plays him and tells him to play like this. Pochettino gives him a lot of freedom, and it's amazing to watch. You know, U.S. soccer is generally a suburban sport, and we have these guys that didn't have the primrose path. It's a great sign, and I think Diego Luna is going to get a lot of fans, and he could be the poster boy of this national team, and I would not argue that at all. So is there a spot in the starting 11 for Diego Luna? Not yet, but it's worth having a conversation about that. The rest of the team is... a lot of these guys are earning spots. By the way, Chris Richards, who has been the best player, didn't have a great game, but the standard's so high for him that it was good, but you're expecting greatness. That's fine. Malik Tillman involved in both goals. He's getting there. And I'm just happy to see that development, because I was starting to get worried about him because it was so frustrating. He's had a great tournament. And I know the missed penalty and a few other things, but he's been fantastic for us, and I feel so confident. So this Gold Cup, even before the final, has provided a lot of important lines, a lot of important items that we have been able to build towards the World Cup. It is not a wasted practice. And now we'll see what they can do. Again, I don't think they'll beat Mexico. By the way, Alex Freeman, another guy that maybe, he's going to make the squad. What happens with Serginho Dest? Does Alex Freeman, who is a really lockdown defender, gets up, he's involved in so much, a year older and wiser in 2026? Worth having that conversation. He's been really impressive, and he's just an athletic freak, and he's in the U.S. system, so very good stuff there. The Gold Cup, the standard, the expectations were very low. I was watching a lot of the Club World Cup, so the group stages I'd watch, but it was hard to get into, empty stadiums. But it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. The U.S. has been a good story. Mexico, Canada, and Panama, this was supposed to be their year, and they are out. To see these other countries raise their standard. Honduras was pushing Mexico. Honduras, who lost to Canada 6-0 to open the Gold Cup, pushing in the semifinals. To see that they're getting back into the mix. I don't know if that means they make the World Cup. Remember, there are going to be 3, maybe 4 CONCACAF teams, in addition to USA, Mexico, Canada, make the World Cup. Maybe Honduras, maybe Costa Rica, who look much improved. And in that case, bringing in Miguel Herrera. Bringing in a big-name coach, which is what Guatemala did in 2021 with Luis Tena, who was the Mexico under-23 coach, led them to a gold medal at the Olympics. This is an investment. And Guatemala, and this is where you have to temper expectations, because the U.S. beat Guatemala. It is a semifinal. Let's remember that. They beat Guatemala, who deserved to be there. And Guatemala were all over the U.S. They probably should have got an equalizer. In the last 30 minutes, Guatemala outshot the U.S. 13-1. It's such a great story. So many developed players within their country, so many American-born players that have been integrated into this Guatemalan national team. I don't know if they make the World Cup, but they're going to give it a good run. Guatemala, when you look at Central America, they are behind Costa Rica, Honduras, Panama, then El Salvador, and then they're there and they're probably ahead of Nicaragua, and that's it, and Belize. So I want to thank Guatemala and those fans. They gave this Gold Cup a real boost. Honduras did, Costa Rica did. It's important for our region. I'm always pulling for our region. I'm happy to see that. The U.S. got through. That's all that matters. We have a game against Mexico. Enjoy it. We'll see who steps in and steps up, and we'll see what happens at the World Cup next summer. But it's all in play. Enjoy Sunday in Houston, 7 o'clock Eastern time. You know where to watch it. I'll be here right afterwards to break it all down. The Soccer OG, like and subscribe. USA, Mexico, let's go.